Welcome to Unlocking Real Estate, My First Commission, where we dive into real stories, big wins, and early lessons learned from highly successful rookie real estate agents and brokers. This is the podcast where we explore how real estate transforms lives, one home at a time, by sitting down each week with a new agent or broker who has found incredible success in their first year. Your hosts are instructors and leaders at Colibri Real Estate School, one of the largest real estate educators in the nation, where we focus on helping people like you get started or find continued success in their careers.
So I'm here with Cindy Perez for My First Commission. Cindy closed over $13.5 million in her first year in real estate, doing over 31 transactions. Cindy, how did I do? Was that a good enough introduction for you?
I'm impressed.
Hit all the notes? Fantastic. So Cindy, obviously you came out of the blocks hot, right? Your first year, this is My First Commission. I want to know, why did you get into real estate? Where were you before? And then what made you the decision, right, I have to start selling real estate here in South Florida?
I actually never wanted to be in real estate.
Never?
It was not something I wanted to do. Prior to coming into real estate, I had a digital marketing agency where I was like teaching social media and how to run your social media, pretty much, Instagram. And prior to that, I did a bunch of odd jobs, was a model for different companies. And prior to that, I was in a multi-level marketing company when I got into sales when I was 22. And a family friend had been watching me for a long time and had been telling me to join him in real estate. And I didn't want to because he was always on the phone and he was always busy. I'm like, I don't want to be that. And in 2021, when things started getting crazy, he gave me a call and he said, hey, it's time. We need more people. I can't handle all the load. You've got what it takes. Come and join me. And at that moment, I had just gotten my new apartment and I needed to switch my car. And the way that I got my apartment was with a government assistant. And I didn't know how I was going to pay my next paycheck. And I had lost all my clients for social media. And so I said, I have nothing to lose. I'm going to start real estate. Okay,
so you were kind of almost forced into it, right? You'd been in around it. You kind of flirting with the sides. You'd been in sales. So it wasn't like it was a massive transition into real estate, right? You'd already been doing some of the building blocks. You said that your marketing company, was it focused on helping real estate agents?
No. It was helping small business owners, teach them how to show up on social media, Instagram specifically, how to manage their social media and how to just show up. Okay. I had one real estate client that happened to be in the same brokerage that I came into, Compass. But I didn't know much about it. I didn't understand it. And I think that's why I was so frustrated with it. It's like, I don't want to come in. I don't know what a mortgage is. I didn't understand it. And being a Latina, it's not a conversation that you have a lot with your family members growing up. So it seemed something that was too difficult to do and too much time. But he said, hey, I need somebody. And funny thing is that I didn't have the money to pay for school. And he said, I'm going to pay for your school and you can pay me back with your first commission. So I said, let's get to work. Okay.
So he took all the obstacles out of the way for you. He was like, we're doing this, right? So you're here, you've got your new apartment, you've got your broker that says, we're doing this. What's the next step? Where did you go to school? How did you do it? And how did you find that experience?
I went online, like, where can I go to school? And then he told me, hey, I went to Gold Coast Schools. You should go there and say my name. And so I called because I couldn't find anything online. There was only one spot left in the class. And I said, hey, put me in there. I'm going to go in person because it was important to me. I wanted to do it quick. I wanted to do it with community. Went to Gold Coast Schools and I don't know, it was like 4 weeks later, I went to take my state exam.
Okay, so within a month, you've gone from not wanting to be into real estate really to now you've got your license. How did you find the exam process? Was it as tough as you thought it was, or did you put in the hard work and ace it?
Anything new is difficult, especially if you don't understand any of it. I'm a good student. I've always been an honor student. I graduated cum laude from Florida State University. I've always liked school. So I knew that I learned in person and I was going to study, and I would study after class. Every time I would read my highlights. I went through the process. I connected with people in the class. That way we can like talk and stuff. And Gold Coast School specifically does a really good job in reviewing prior to the exam. And I aced it the first time. I passed it the first time. Well, you do the class exam and then you do the state. And then for the state, I read the whole book again. I was super nervous, I'm not going to lie. But I passed it the first time.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's a big one. So
Yeah.
you get your license and then you hang it with the brokerage, right? And what's next? How did you get your first client? Like, talk me through that. That's been a big one.
That's a good one. Let me say this first. I didn't find real estate to then figure out the brokerage. The brokerage found me. My leader found me. Then I went into real estate. So I said yes because I knew that I was going to they had a success like track record. So I knew that they were going to take me under the wing and I was going to do a good job. So as I was going through my process in school, he was taking me to shadow him to do showings. So I would go and kind of watch him, and that kept me really excited about the process. The day that I passed the state exam, I remember I had one of the model gigs, and he called me, my leader. His name is Mike, and he said, "Hey, I have a lead for you." Actually, it was a friend of mine that called me and said, "I have a lead for you. Call your principal. That way you can work it." And I stepped to the side. I took the call, and it was a rental. Crazy enough, the next day, I had gotten my license in my email, so I was able to go do showings. We went the whole weekend in a scooter, seeing showings all over town. I had no idea what I was doing, but my friend actually happened to know of real estate and did most of the talk for me. And that was my very first client. It was a 6-month rental at $4,000 a month. That later on, a year later, became my first sale. She purchased a penthouse at $3 million.
Oh, wow.
And it was me during all that time that I was doing the rentals, as I was learning pre-construction through my leader, I was sort of repeating the same thing he was teaching me, and I was able to teach her. And now we haven't closed yet. This was 4 years ago. And she's about 1.2 million up in unrealized equity because of that decision she made then.
Oh, wow. So your very first lead, you get the rental out of it,
yeah,
and then you keep that relationship.
Yes.
It sounds like you position yourself as the expert and
yes,
kind of walk her through it, and then it turns into a deal later on. I think that's something we see a lot on this podcast, is the just showing up, answering the phone, and then kind of educating your client on what the process is. So you get that one under your belt, right?
Say that again?
You get that one deal under your belt, right? Your first one. Your first one's the rental.
Yeah.
Talk me through your first purchase of a pre-construction or a home. How did that come about?
Similar to what I just said, it's a lot of prior to you converting, you have to learn, but you don't need to know everything to be able to sell. You can teach from what you know, and that's what I learned. So I did a lot of shadowing, a lot of going to pre-construction projects and learning what they were teaching me, making notes. You look at the notes on my iPhone, I have like hundreds of notes that I've taken for pre-construction. And so you learn it just like Gold Coast School book. You read it, you learn it, you do your test. It was a similar thing. So I was making calls and reading my notes and regurgitating basically what I had learned. So people started seeing me like an expert in the field. And I mean, after that, it was just sale after sale. I don't remember which one was the exact one. I think that was my very first one, the 3 million one. But after that, I started working with a lot of investors because I knew the projects, and then my team would give me the leads for that. And so then I ended up selling like multiple projects. It's very different than resale, the pre-construction. So I can sell it without absolutely knowing everything because I'm reading.
Okay.
Right? And then I connect them with the project and then do the rest of it. So I think it was like a cheat sheet almost, because you can learn as you go.
Yeah, so it sounds like with your story so far, right, you've got a load of transferable skills from your previous life. You pick the right broker and the right mentor, and then you're able to have a niche, right, that really sets you apart. Before we jumped on the podcast, you were telling me about kind of your little niche with being the only bilingual agent. Tell me more about that and like how you've kind of really taken that as like a hook for you.
You can't do everything, right? There's so many things you can do in real estate, whether it's like resales or homes or condos. There's so much for everybody. And people ask a lot, it's like, hey, how can I find my place? Should I do everything? And it's like, just do whatever brings you joy. because at that time, homes were not bringing me joy. So then I was doing condos because we're in Miami. So if I'm showing 5 condos in one building, I don't get to drive in traffic. 5
No one
homes.
wants that.
Right. So that was one thing. And then also, I'm fully bilingual, English and Spanish. So then I can write it. Then let me take all of the Spanish speakers and I will support the team. Because people think, what can I get from this brokerage? What can I get from this team? What can I get from this mentor? And that's not the right posture of the heart or the way to approach things. I think that you should say, what can I give to this person? So at that moment, I knew that I could give social media help to my team and I could give my Spanish so they can handle more clients. So a lot of times, and the example that I shared with you was, this buyer that came from Mexico only speaks Spanish. I'm here, pick Cindy, right? And we were able to sell a condo at a little bit over $7 million. And otherwise, it wouldn't have been my lead. But because I was the only fully spoken English and Spanish person on the team, I got the opportunity to handle that.
Yeah, no, that's an amazing story. And I think we haven't talked about this fully, but you had the marketing agency. And how are you helping out with social media for the group itself?
Just taking content. We're going on showings. I take showings. I took videos, reels. They had hired another company and it was a little boring. And so I just like things to be fun. And so I'm a millennial, one of the youngest one on the team. And I got to just do this, do that. And I would record it. I would post it for them, edit it. And so it brought a little bit more engagement on their page, on the Ivan and my team page. I'm on the Ivan and my team at Compass. And I was able to differentiate myself from the rest of the team because I brought that part into it. It wasn't real estate related. It was just a skill that I could connect so that they can find value in what I was doing. And in return, they gave me things like their expertise and all of those different things.
Yeah, so you're providing value, and you've talked a couple of times about Instagram specifically again before we jumped on and started recording, so we missed that out. So let's talk about it now. You're building your personal brand, right, on Instagram. So if I was a new agent sat here watching this right now, what could I learn from you? What tips and tricks do you have straight out of the gate to get me up and running?
First of all, you have to work with what you love. Because people will say, but I don't love Instagram. I don't love social media. I don't love videos. Then don't do videos. I mean, that's what I'm going to say. You got to work with what you... I've always loved talking and videos and all that stuff. It comes natural to me. So if you're a person that does enjoy that, then start recording your everyday. Everything is content. Grant Cardone says, if they don't know you, they don't flow you. And so early on in my career, I would go to a showing. Let's say that I was showing Icon, what the W is in Brickell. Then I would do a video of Icon. This is what it is. And then people started, oh, she knows Icon. Oh, she knows this. Oh, she knows that. So then they started seeing me as an expert on the building, even though I was learning it that day. But I would go study it, ask the front desk agent to tell me some tips. I would write it down, and then I would say it in my video. And so people were learning things from me. So when people can learn from you, and it's like short enough that they can digest it, they want to see more. And so wherever I went, even if it was not my listing, if it was not my showing, if it was not my client, I was going, I was being present, I was recording. And then people were like, oh, she's doing it for real. Oh, I wasn't selling yet. But I was there. You can't guarantee performance, but you can guarantee presence. So I was present and people were seeing it.
Yeah, and so it sounds like you're out there, you're taking the content and you're building up this, I am the expert, even if you're not, right? And you're positioning yourself as the local expert. You told me a really interesting story earlier on about your first commission check and the video that you posted about your mum. Like that's gold.
I won't tell you how much it was.
No. We'll cut the recording for that bit.
Okay.
But tell me about that story. Like you posted it and it got you a couple of clients out of it. How did...
That video got, I don't know, maybe, I can't remember, maybe 30,000 views, who knows. But what was cool is that I ended up pinning it. Let me go back a little bit. I started selling Area Reserve. It was my first project in pre-construction that I sold. I must have sold maybe 4 or 5 properties there. And the person that I was in contact with there started calling me the queen of the penthouse queen because I sold 2 penthouses. And I went to go pick up a check, and it was the first check that I picked up. So I wanted to make a big deal out of it. And so they were recording me. She's giving me the check. I'm signing the whole thing, etc. Then I edit it, and I wanted to show it to my sister and my mom. because I come from a background. My first year in real estate, I had 3 jobs, including real estate.
Oh, wow.
For 14 months, I had 3 jobs. I would do real estate during a certain time. Then I would do the next one. I had my digital marketing agency. And then I was working my modeling gig from 6 to 9. And I would have stuff in my my trunk, and I would change there, and I was exhausted. And sometimes I wouldn't have gas. And I remember one time I drove to the gas station and I couldn't get to my house. So I parked my car in the gas station and I walked 6 blocks to my car to go get the card from the company that was paying for my gas so I can come back and put gas in it.
Wow.
And so real estate is tough, but you have to be tougher. So I come from that background, and also moving from Puerto Rico to Miami and getting detentions in school because we didn't have enough money to buy clothes. So I was showing my midriff and we couldn't buy more clothes. So just kind of knowing this background, like very humble. I come with this check that's almost 6 figures, my first one.
Wow.
And I put the video of me walking in, signing all that stuff, and I put it on the TV with my mom and my sister. I'm like, take a look. And she's like, what is it? I'm like, oh, it's my first check. I'm picking it up. Just take a look. And then the video ends, and I come with the paycheck, and I had framed it. And I go, Mom, it's my first check. And I'm showing her, and she is like this. And she's in shock. And she starts crying.
Wow.
And then my sister starts crying. I want to cry right now.
Yeah.
Because at that moment, I was like, oh my gosh, I made it. Like, it was such a shock to my mom and my sister that, like, I come from this background that it was never possible for me to have a life like this. And because I said yes to real estate and yes to not quitting, I'm able to be the generational change in my family and in my life. So people look at that video and they connect with me, like, it humanizes me, and they see that I do real estate for the little people in the back that are not so big. They're my biggest people, and they're my motivation every day.
Yeah, no, that's a very powerful message, right? And I think anyone that's thinking about it, real estate can unlock so many doors, right? It can provide you the flexibility, the freedom, and also a lot of financial gain.
Yes.
Right. So the podcast is my first commission, right? We take super successful real estate agents and we ask them about it. So you had 31 transactions in your first year. You become the rookie of the year, one of the finalists. Talk me through about, like, how hard that year was to get 31 deals done in the 12 months.
Wait, 31 is a combination of rentals and sales and pre-construction, because I was doing all of them. And
don't sell yourself short. That's still very impressive.
Just so that people know, because they're like 31 transactions on sales. It wasn't. I did a lot of rentals, but the rentals were like 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 10,000. I'm in Miami.
Yeah.
And so that was a lot of the production. And I was doing that plus 2 other jobs. So there was a lot.
Yeah.
Walk you through that. Organizational skills. I had to learn. A lot of it is transferable, right? Like my emails, the way that you talk to people. I came from sales, so I was able to do a lot of that and also be personable. You want to be your own person. If people feel like you're selling them something, they're never going to work with you. So I treated them like my friends. Yeah. I love what I do, and that's just it. But 31 transactions. I'm on a team. It wasn't just myself. They were feeding me a lot of the leads that were coming in, and I'm very blessed to be able to be a part of that. So my recommendation for someone who's brand new, don't do it alone. At least not the first year. And people say, hey, they like your commission, it's cut of a cut of a cut of a cut. Yeah, but what about your learning? Mm-hmm. That's priceless. Do you want to do in 1 year what most people do in 5? Or do you want to take 5 years to do it and then get 100% of the commission? That's your decision. So I would say it was my team. And I took God as my business partner. I always say he doesn't equip the called. He doesn't call the equipped, he equips the called. So it's a combination of like my faith, partnering with my team members, and just having a big why.
Yeah. And I would say your personality must play a big part of that as well. So what about your personality makes you successful?
I like to have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. People want to have fun. Buying a property is already hard as it is. So just like connecting, I mean, not everybody connects with my personality, right? There's people for everybody.
Yeah.
And that's okay. This last weekend, I just fired a client and just couldn't. We couldn't do it. And you have to be okay with that. People want to work with everybody. Like, what are you doing in real estate? I do everything. I don't do everything. So I work with the people that I want to work with, and they work with me if we can connect. And my approach is always, I get to be your real estate best friend. I'm a concierge in real estate. So all things real estate I will help you with, not just the purchase of your home. I want you to understand what you're doing from A to Z, and just to find a friend in the process. And it's not always that way, right? Because you have the clients that operate at 7 million are not the same way that the clients at 500,000 operate. So you do have to step into your other personalities to be able to touch to the different clients. In the DISC, not sure if you're familiar with that. So sometimes I'm dominant, sometimes I'm influential, and I'm really fun. Sometimes I'm conscientious, where I give a lot of details. So learning about sales and yourself and how you can become the personality that they need you to be, I think it's a key in real estate.
Oh, that's really insightful. So outside of your kind of transactions and building the brand, you're also in a lot of other community, right? And you're really big in a couple of key places. And in the first or second year, you were awarded by the YPN. Tell us about that and kind of how powerful that was for you starting out.
Yeah. Coming into real estate, another key thing to do would be to get involved and find your community. Someone told me about YPN. That's the Young Professionals Network under Miami Association of Realtors. And that was my first organization that I joined. And they were really helpful in connecting me to things so that I could learn more, and awards. So I am a high I personality. So I like a lot of recognition. So I went to look at what awards can I get and what is the work I need to do. And I got to work on that. And so I made sure that I applied for them. So that was also a motivation for me to have production, because that's the way that I'm motivated. And we got to go to Dubai.
Worst places to go.
It was horrible.
Yeah. How did you tough it out?
So
can I apply for it?
Yeah, it was awesome. And at the time, I had applied for the most influential award or leader, and I used my social media company, how I connected that to real estate to get my clientele. So 30% of those 31 transactions that I closed came through Instagram.
Oh, wow.
And so in Dubai, I was talking about how I did that using my business, and I got first place. So I was able to take that back and say, look, I went to Dubai and I got an award. And so all these little things when you're brand new in real estate give you authority. I would say, yeah, I'm new, but I did this. And then I went back and I did my broker, my broker license. 2 years in, I think it was like a week after my second year, I went and I got my broker license for that reason. Number one, I'm a woman. Number two, I'm young. So sometimes I would be disrespected, or they didn't believe me that I knew what I was talking about. So I'm like, maybe if I have a broker's license, they'll respect me. So when you're doing those things, get designations, be part of organizations, hold positions, get awards. I kept building my persona and building my professional resume. And that was really helpful. So connecting with YPN and later on connecting with NAREP, the National Association for Hispanic Real Estate Professionals, that was like the big cherry on top.
Oh, yeah. And tell us about that. I think you recently got a promotion. Yeah.
I am now the president of the South Florida chapter for NAREP. And NAREP's mission is to advance sustainable Hispanic homeownership. We're nationwide. There's 60,000 members in the United States, 100 chapters, over 100 chapters. And the South Florida chapter is top 10 in the nation. So we put 4 events a year. About 200, 300 people come to every event. And we get to put together this programming to help real estate agents like me, like anybody, have resources, education. We do public policy to advocate for that. We do networking and education. So that started also giving me resources and empowering me and becoming a leader in spaces. That's how Univision found me. So I got to be national TV because they saw that I was on stages with NAREP. And so the windows open doors and they keep opening. So that's pretty cool. And I get to advocate for the Latino community as a Latina myself. Not only do I get to do all this stuff, but also help people that have never purchased a home and really need to get there.
Fantastic. So you have joined this and now you're the vice president.
Now I'm the president. I got promoted from VP.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
So now you're the president, and you just said something then where you get to help people in their home ownership journey. Like, how impactful is that as part of the real estate professionals every day?
It's impactful. I mean, it depends on what you're serving, right? Like we believe that entering the middle class starts with home ownership. So if I'm able to help a family have their own home, they learn a lot of things in the process of that it impacts their finances and how responsible they are with their finances. And so that's my little grain of sand, right? Like if I help this family do that, sometimes that's all they want. They just want to, that's their number one goal in life, to own a home for their family, because it also provides longevity for their family. You know, most of us are in the same house for 30 years as Latinos. And then there's the cousin and the aunt, and there's 7 people living in there. And so buying a home, it's the number one success a lot of times for Latinos.
Yeah. And do you have a favorite home buying story that you've had in the family that you've helped that you could share with us?
It would be that story that I shared with you of my friend. His name is Josue, and he found me on the Explorer page of Instagram. Instagram works, guys.
Yeah, if that's one takeaway, create your Instagram account and just follow what Cindy's doing.
Yeah, and you could do TikTok, you could do whatever you want, but my platform of choice is Instagram. They're not paying me to say this,
but they could if they
could. Yeah, I'm available. Yeah, I mean, so he saw me on the Explore page. He followed me for some time, and he was able to connect with me in different areas. I'm an avid churchgoer, faith, friends, my community, all that stuff. He was following, and he's like, "Hey, I've been following you for some time. I'm coming to Miami. I would like to meet up with you." We ended up meeting up, and later on, he came back and he ended up purchasing a multifamily investment. It was actually my first multifamily that I had sold. He taught me some things, and I was able to help him with other things. And he integrated into my community. We went to lunch, brought some friends. He went back to DC, kept watching, kept visiting. And about a year ago, he decided to move to Miami. So he's fully integrated into Miami today, left his business in DC. He still works it, but he's fully here. And last weekend, I got to see him at my church, on the worship team, saying, so not only did he get an investment property, but he uprooted his life, found a new community, and he's completely plugged in. So I would say, oh my gosh, it's not about selling houses, it's about impacting lives.
Yeah, and it's crazy that that came from an Instagram explore where you're producing this content and you're showing everyone your personality, your life, what you're getting up to. That builds up the trust that he follows and follows and follows. So I think the takeaway would be, if someone's new watching this, is that you're not going to get instant gratification. You
won't, and you will get the imposter syndrome. And people that are criticizing you all the time, I don't know why you post that, and oh my gosh, you're always posting. And then when people would tell me that, I'd be like, I would hide my stories. I'm like, I don't need that negativity. Yeah. And still till this day, people are like, oh, I don't need to watch what you're eating. It's like, you know what? People are always going to have something to say that they don't believe you. Sometimes familiarity brings contentment, and it's the people that are closest to you that are going to just bring you down, and you have to ignore that. Put your blinders up, do what you got to do. They're not paying your bills at the end of the day, and it's your career. And if it's not you doing what you know you need to get done, no one else is going to do it. Yeah, and if it's an effective tool for you, then you double down on it, right? And you leverage it. And 30% of your transactions, you said, came from Instagram, a tool that you can post on, right? So it's going to post more of it, right? Yeah. If I post more, do I take that up to 40%? Does that get me on? You had breakout success your first year, right? Second year, were you able to keep up the momentum? Were you able to continue to grow? How is it going from rookie killing it to year 2? Being plugged into organizations, number one, for me was a big thing to do. And also when you work in pre-construction, the paychecks come later. So my first paycheck for pre-construction came a year later. So I was like, oh. So talking about delayed gratification. Delayed gratification. That's why I kept going with 3 jobs my first year, because I wasn't seeing the money because it came later on. And so the paychecks are still coming year 4. This week is my 4-year anniversary, so I'm excited.
Yeah. Congratulations. We should have bought you a cake.
Thank you. I know. Where's the cake?
Yeah.
You guys did a great
Next.
cake.
Next.
So being plugged into organizations and also being held accountable. So my team, and a lot of people ask me why you're still part of your team. Number one, they're just like incredible guys. They're very ethical and they work so hard. And if it wasn't for them, I probably would have slowed down a little bit, but they're just so hard on themselves and they hold you accountable. So like we have meetings every 2 weeks. You got to be producing, 25 million a year in order to have like a specific title. And I'm a high I and I won the title, right?
Yeah,
so you have to know what works for you. What are you motivated by? Is it the money? Is it the title? What is it? So I think that having that accountability with my team has helped me a lot to keep the momentum going year 2. And the market has changed a lot year 3 and now year 4, completely different. Somebody coming into real estate right now may not see the same success that I had in 2021. So you have to figure out what it is that's working. Maybe that is becoming an expert on the market, or maybe you go in and you go door knocking and that becomes your thing because people are not doing it anymore. Like you have to find what works with you and in the current market.
Yeah, and you've clearly found yours, right? And you're now 4 years in. So if we look ahead, where's the next 5 years going for you? What do you plan over the next couple of years?
To get married and have kids.
Okay.
In reality, that's really what I want. But I am building systems in order to keep my real estate business going. Maybe it's not me hustling in the streets the way that I am. Maybe it's becoming an investor myself, buying my very first property. That's my goal for this year. And also I have found another niche within my real estate, and that's providing virtual assistant support for real estate agents. And so I've been able to use what I've learned to be able to train assistants and support other agents. So that's another stream of income that comes through real estate. So I think diversifying your real estate portfolio, and I'm not talking just investments, it's really key and keeping it going, I think, in my opinion, 4 years in.
Yeah, so the virtual assistant is really interesting. So you saw a problem, right? You tried to solve it with a service, and then the service wasn't what you wanted it to be. So then you went and created it yourself. Tell us about the platform that you provide and how it could help a real estate professional.
Yeah, so it's called Pass the Task. It's catchy. Yeah. Pass that task, right? And it's a virtual assistant company that were created for real estate agents, for real estate professionals. It's real estate professionals inclusive but not exclusive. So we also service people outside of real estate. But the idea is that most people, when you're doing a task, you could do one or three things. You either do it, you dump it, or you delegate it. And I had to learn that early on when I was in sales. And so if it makes me money, then I'm doing it. If it's not making me money, then I delegate it. Or if it just doesn't need to get done, you dump it. And so we just created it to help real estate agents at an affordable price, because when I started, I didn't have the money to pay for a real estate assistant because it was too expensive. The market rate is $25 an hour. And so I'm like, I couldn't do it, but I still did it after my first year. Fun story. 2021 was so wild that when a client would call me to put an offer, I would put on the side of the road. I bought this $10 desk to put it on my wheel. It was a wheel desk. Mm-hmm. And I would pop my laptop, write the offer, and send it. Because if I didn't do that, by the time I got to my destination, it already had like 20 offers and I would lose the property. So I was like, I can continue to do this to put on the side of the road. I need an assistant. And even though I didn't have the money to pay for one, I made the sacrifice because it was the only way that I could duplicate myself. And so I did it, even though that assistant wasn't trained. I created systems so that if that assistant left me, because when my first assistant left me, the second one came, I had to reteach everything.
Yeah.
And it's tough. Like, you don't have the time to be training an assistant all the time. And so I created Pass a Task. So with systems, so if an assistant leaves, the other one comes, they can duplicate themselves. And we kept it at a market, like competitive, $10 an hour, so that new agents can come in and they can get more done with their time.
And it has your backing, right? You've been through this for now 4 years. You've been super successful yourself. And it sounds like it's helping with the task that made you successful, right? The speed to get the deal done, get the offer right. If you're, what is it, Ricky Bobby? If you're not first, you're last, right? I don't know if you watch it. So that's really interesting. So you're delegating and you're building these systems in so that you can be more productive, right? So that's one area you're going in. As we look at the market today, right? What advice would you give someone that was thinking about getting into the real estate in 2025?
If it's what you want to do, do it. If it's the one thing that could support your income, do it. If you've been thinking about it, do it. You don't know if you don't know if you don't try.
That's
right?
simple.
And real estate was never in my, my thought process. And I'm so glad it came into my life because it's broken the glass ceiling. I had an expectation of where I could get in my life. And when I got into real estate, it surpassed it. I understood that there's no scarcity of money. There's such abundance of money everywhere you go. Even in today's market, people say, oh, there's no money. Look at if there's money, people coming in, buying a property at 5 million cash, why can't I be that person buying that property at 5 million cash? What are they doing different that I'm not doing? They got 24 hours in the day. I got 24 hours in the day. That's the hottest commodity. So coming to real estate, not only for the money, but for what it can do to your thought process, to your boundaries. I mean, another world was opened up for me when I got around people that were so affluent because I had never been exposed to that in my entire life. And because of that, then I can impact my mom and I can impact my sister and I can impact my future children. So if you're thinking of doing real estate, just do it. It's so easy. It's like, what, $500 to get a class or less?
Yeah, depending on what school you go to.
You could do it online.
Do it online.
You could do it in person.
Yeah.
Borrow the money, get it done. But if people are going to believe in you, you have to make sure that you actually do it. So I would say the biggest thing you're going to need is discipline and to keep the word to yourself. If you don't keep the word to yourself, no one's going to trust you. Not your family members again when you try something new, not the clients when you're going to do something. So you have to be your biggest cheerleader and you should have your biggest commitment to yourself.
Yeah. No, I think that's like a really powerful thing, right? Is the market is the market, right? People are going to win in it, and it's me, right? It's Cindy that's going to win. And I think the one thing that we haven't really spoke about on this podcast is the rental side of it. And when people always need to live somewhere, right? If they can't afford a house, then their only option is potentially to rent, right? So tell us a bit more about the kind of the rental market and how that differs for you in the real estate world.
I have always done rentals. Rentals are the bread and butter of real estate.
Why is that?
Because people need to move and they need a house. And if they can't afford a home, they need to live somewhere, don't they? And so you get to be the person to help them. I got my first rental in Miami. It's funny, I was born and raised in Puerto Rico. I came to Miami with my parents. I went to California, lived there 6 years, and then came back to Miami, back with my parents. And then at some point I was like, I need to live by myself again. And I needed to find a place. And I got myself a real estate agent to find me my first rental. And thank goodness I had one because the rent, at least in Miami, there's like a process. There's like the offer, the contract to lease, the lease, if an association involved. There's so many steps. And it's like a job to find a place. So you definitely want to go to a real estate agent to help you. And as a real estate agent, you can help that person. It could be like, it was such a big deal for me to get my first rental. I mean, I got like freaking 90 comments in there. Like, it was such a big deal because most people are still like living with their family or friends, you know what I mean? So if the sales are not coming because the market is upside down or the market or what is doing this or whatever, the rentals will always be there and you can always help people. Whether it's $1,000 or $5,000, it pays the bills. So I still do rentals today. My friend the other day said, hey, I want to rent my place. You still do rentals? You're like, so famous. I'm like, no, I'm not. I was like, of course I do rentals. You know why? Because you're my friend and I love you and I want to support you and I want to be the person to get you there. No one's going to service you better than I will. And that's why I continue to do it. It also keeps my finger on the market of what's happening, my finger on the pulse of what's happening in the market. So if I'm working with investors, for example, and I'm doing a lot of rentals, then I know where people are wanting to go. Where do they want to rent? What are they looking for? Are they looking for condos? Are they looking for homes? Do they prefer 1 bedrooms or 2 bedrooms? Are people still going to the offices, or are they building offices in their homes? That's why single people come for 2 bedrooms. So it keeps your finger on the pulse of what's happening in the market. And I can always transfer that information to an investor, to someone who's selling, to someone who's buying. Right? Like that's where the information comes from.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good thing for these potential agents to know, right? Don't just limit yourself to residential resales, right? And how all of the market as a whole can help you in multiple different facets. So looking at a quick kind of lightning fire round. So I'm going to ask you some really quick questions.
Okay.
Don't overthink it. You're just going to shoot from the
nervous.
hip, right? They shouldn't be too hard. What's a book or podcast that you'd recommend?
Oh,
I said don't overthink it.
I'm reading the Bible.
Okay.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
That's like deeply every day. That's the book. That, and I mean, real estate related or just anything?
No, anything.
Yeah. For Women Only is the other book besides the Bible that I'm reading.
Okay, why is that powerful for you?
Because it teaches you how to work with like men.
Okay.
Yeah. And how men are different from women. And so not only helps with like my current relationship, but also my relationship with men in the workforce.
I was going to say, you mentioned earlier on about getting the designations and trying to go and get your broker so that people kind of respect you more. Kind of what's a big takeaway from the book that someone listening to this that's a female getting into the industry that they should know?
That I can connect it to real estate. Men want to be respected and women want to be loved. So the way that I treat a woman who's looking for an apartment is different than I treat a man who's looking for an apartment. Which
goes back to what you said earlier on about changing your personality to meet your customer, to help them with their need. If you could go back in a time machine right now to the day that you decided to get a real estate license, what advice would you give yourself?
Oh, that's a tough one. Save more. Save more.
Before you go into real estate?
Oh, so before I came into real estate, an advice I could give myself.
Yeah.
Come into real estate sooner.
Okay. Yeah.
That would be it. I would have been further along today if I had come in sooner.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. 100%. Because I understand so much more now. It's not just the income that's coming in, but like understanding homes and the process and the market and finances and mortgages and bonds and everything that affects the market. I had no idea before. And I would have been better for it.
Okay. And if you could go to dinner with one person, dead or alive, who are you taking to dinner?
My grandma.
What's that?
I didn't get to know her very well, and I would want to understand more of my background and my mom's background and the reason why we do things. She got Alzheimer's when I was really young, so I didn't get to have full-on conversations, and I lost her when I was 21. So it would be my grandma.
Yeah, and you'd get to tell her all the exciting things you've been up to, right?
Yeah, she'd be very proud.
The successful woman that you are. Yeah, she definitely would be. And what did you do at work yesterday? Tell me what like a typical day in the life of Cindy is.
I wake up at 4:45 in the morning. Every day. Yeah, sometimes 4:30, sometimes 5. But at 5 a.m., I host a 5 a.m. prayer club. There's 670 people in the club. About 120 people join every morning from 5 a.m. to 5:20. And we do an encouragement. There's 12 leaders. We pray until 5:20. After that, I get ready for the gym. I hit the gym at 6 a.m. for an hour. Then I go to the sauna for 20 minutes, read my Bible then. And then my gym is like 30 seconds from the office. So then I go to the office at 8:30, write my goals for the day, and then start making my calls. And then usually I'm in the office until about 2 p.m. and then go on and do showings or whatever I need to do, check on my listings, that type of thing. And then I'm back home sometime at around like 6 or 7. And then I just get ready for the night, cook if I'm going to cook and eat, and then prep my bag for the next day so I can do it all over again.
Yeah, so the routine seems like it's made by design, right? To kind of help you out. How does the Cindy get into real estate mode? How does that set you up for success in the day?
My phone is not ringing at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. And so before I got into this routine, which actually started May last year, 2024, I would get up at like 7, 8 a.m. And then by the time that I got up, it was like, and that gives me into like anxiety. And I feel like I'm catching up with the day rather than putting me first. I can't pour from an empty cup. So now I get to do the things that are important to me, get my body right, get my mind right, get my spirit right, take care of me without anyone writing me. And then I handle my business. And now I have a different attitude, the way that I treat people, that I talk to people. And now there's boundaries also. So when people are asking me for things at 8:30 p.m., they know I never answer because I'm not looking at my phone starting at 8 p.m. and they respect it. So it's put me in a different position of, okay, I can't call her at 8 because she's not going to answer. And so they figure it out themselves. And also, I don't just take any client now, because if you want to be the client that's like partying at night, then it's not the client for me, right? Because this is what I do. So it's a whole different life when you take care of yourself first.
Yeah.
And then you do the rest.
And one thing that you said was that you write your goals every day.
I just started that. Okay. So I'm like working on that. Yeah.
How's it going for you? What kind of goals are you doing on a daily basis?
5 personal goals and then 5 work goals. That's what I'm writing.
Okay, and that's every day it changes, or is that kind of a
same goals?
Same goals.
Same goals. Yeah, I just learned that at the beginning of this year through Compass, and so I'm giving it a try, because look, at the beginning of the year you say, hey, I want to do this for 2025 is my year. I'm going to do all this stuff, and then like we're in March, like, are you doing any of it? And so you have to really keep them in front of you to remember what it is that you want to do. Even with my organization, for NARIP, we want to bring in 550 members. We're at 306 right now. And we had a meeting the other day and I said, do you remember what the goal is? Only 1% knew. If I'm not saying that we want to grow to 550 members every day, then you're not calling people to come and join the organization or let them know about the benefits. And it's the same thing with your life. So if I'm saying that I want to have $250,000 in income this year and I'm writing it every day, then it changes what I'm doing today. Am I going to go and eat some pura vida and not work, or I'm going to make the 30 calls I said I would do every day because I want to make $250K. So it just aligns you for the day, for the week, because they become weeks and they become months and they become your year. And so you gotta really write it down.
Yeah. So the discipline seems like it's really, really key for kind of a new agent, and you were super successful. So Cindy, if someone is watching this and they want to kind of get in touch with you, stay informed, what's the best place to follow you on?
Instagram.
And tell us more about the handle.
It's at cindysummer.re for real estate. You can find me there. That's the best way. Or on YouTube, it's at cindysummer.re. Putting more content in there. And that's the best way. Some people kind of want to text me and I was like, look, you do it on Instagram, you'll find me. I'll reply. Yeah,
fantastic. So Cindy, this has been a great pod. Thank you very much for spending time with us. And that's it, guys. That's the pod.
Thanks for listening to Unlocking Real Estate, My First Commission. We hope today's stories and insights gave you that extra spark to keep moving forward in your real estate career. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It helps us reach more listeners like you. And don't forget you can watch this or other episodes on our YouTube channel. We'd also love to hear from you. Send your comments, key takeaways, or recommendations for future guests to unlockingrealestate@colibrirealestate.com.